The alien queen touched my scar, then said, "So it was you after all these years." The air was thick but breathable, tinged with a faint metallic scent that made her nostrils flare. Strange, towering trees stretched toward the sky, their branches twisting like the fingers of some giant, sleeping creature. Light from the planet's twin suns filtered through the canopy, painting the jungle floor with gold and green patterns that seemed almost alive. Alara adjusted her helmet and checked her scanner. Nothing so far indicated intelligent life. The readings showed no buildings, no artificial energy sources, and no signs of life beyond plants and small, insect-like creatures. Yet, Kryn 9 was supposed to hide ruins, remnants of a civilization lost thousands of years ago. Most explorers had given up searching, claiming the jungle swallowed everything. But Alara had a stubborn streak. She believed humans had a unique spark, curiosity that no alien could resist, a hunger for knowledge that pushed them beyond fear. Her boots sank slightly into the soft moss as she moved deeper. The trees were enormous, some with trunks wide enough to house several humans. Vines hung like green curtains, and tiny creatures with translucent wings darted through the undergrowth. The jungle was alive in every sense, humming with movement, yet silent in sound. It was the kind of silence that made a person's heartbeat seem loud. Alara paused near a stone outcrop, partially hidden by vines. The stones were carved with symbols she did not recognize, spirals and angular shapes that pulsed faintly with what looked like light from within. She ran her gloved hand over the carvings. A tingle ran through her fingers, and she instinctively pulled back. That was when she noticed it, a faint shimmer in the air above the stones, as if the very atmosphere was bending. A sudden noise made her turn sharply. Leaves rustled violently, and the air seemed to vibrate. She raised her scanner. Readings: unknown life form, extremely large, approaching fast. From the shadows between the giant trunks it stepped forward. Tall, taller than any human could imagine, and regal, with a presence that made Alara's chest tighten. Its skin glimmered with colors she could not name, shifting like liquid metal under the sunlight. Its eyes, large and luminous, seemed to see straight through her, into memories she had not shared with anyone. Alara froze. She had expected danger, maybe a wild animal, perhaps a territorial alien creature, but nothing prepared her for this. It walked toward her with calm, deliberate steps, each one echoing like a drum in the quiet jungle. Her hand instinctively went to her sidearm, but the weapon felt small and useless against this towering being. Then it spoke, not aloud but inside her mind. A voice calm, clear, and surprisingly gentle. "So it was you after all these years." Alara's heart stopped. The words hit her like a cold wave. She looked down at her arm instinctively. Her scar, the jagged line running from just below her elbow to her wrist, the one she had gotten in a mysterious accident as a child, burned faintly, as if responding to the alien's presence. How do you know me?" she whispered aloud, her voice shaky. The creature, no, the queen, as some deep part of her mind suddenly understood, extended a long, slender hand. It touched her scar gently. The contact was not painful, but it sent a shock of memories she did not recognize through her mind. Images of a ship lost in space, strange blue light, and a tiny human child surrounded by alien machinery flashed before her eyes. Alara stumbled back, overwhelmed. I don't understand." The queen's eyes glowed brighter. "You were marked before you even knew it. The mark chose you. It has waited." "Marked me? What are you talking about?" Alara asked, panic rising. Her mind raced. She had always felt her scar was unusual, different from ordinary injuries. But she had never imagined it was something significant on a galactic scale. The queen moved closer, towering over her yet moving with a grace that seemed almost impossible for its size. Its voice continued in her mind, gentle but firm. "Humans are unpredictable. Your species has a spark that no other carries. That spark is why you survived, why you exist here now in front of me." Alara shook her head. "I'm just me. I'm not special. I'm just a human explorer trying to map a planet." The queen tilted its head slightly, as if studying her with patient curiosity. "Special? Perhaps not in your eyes, but in the universe, the smallest spark can ignite great change. The accident that gave you that scar, it was not random. It was the universe preparing for what is to come." Alara's knees nearly buckled. She had never heard anything like this. She had traveled across galaxies, faced dangerous storms in space, survived alien wildlife, and yet nothing had shaken her like the presence of this being. It was as if it could see her soul, her fears, and her potential all at once. The queen withdrew its hand slowly, but the scar still tingled. There is little time. Others are coming. You must understand who you are and why you were chosen. Only then can you decide whether to run or to fight. Fight, Elara echoed, trying to steady her voice. Against what? The queen's eyes darkened, the color shifting to a deep violet. The galaxy will face a threat unlike any before, a species without individuality, without creativity, without hesitation. They consume what they cannot understand. And they are coming for all who are not them. Elara swallowed hard. She had read about such species in old archives, stories dismissed as myths, warnings ignored. She had never thought she would meet one, or that humanity might have a role in stopping it. Yet here she stood, the queen's words painting her life in a new, impossible light. "Why me?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Why not someone else?" The queen stepped closer, its presence filling the clearing. "Because you carry what they fear most. Humans are unpredictable, creative, and unbound by instinct alone. You may be small, fragile even, but you are the seed of resistance. And this scar," it said, reaching out again to lightly trace the jagged line on her arm, "is the key. It marks you as the one who can change what seems inevitable." Alara's mind spun. She had always believed humans were clever, yes, but nothing in her life had prepared her to be the key to resisting an alien threat. She felt fear, excitement, and disbelief all at once. "Then what do I do?" she asked finally, her voice firm despite the tremor inside her. The queen looked at her with something like admiration, or perhaps recognition. "First, you must understand us. You must learn what your species can truly do. Then when the time comes, you will choose, return to your people or stand and face what approaches. There is no easy path, Elara Voss, only the one you create yourself." The wind rustled the giant trees, and for a moment the jungle was silent again. Yet in that silence, Elara felt something stirring inside her, a sense of purpose, a spark she had never felt before. She was no longer just an explorer. She was a part of something much larger, something that stretched across stars and centuries. Elara took a deep breath. "Then show me, teach me. I need to know what this means." The queen nodded slowly, a gesture that seemed both solemn and approving. "Very well, but remember, knowledge is not comfort. Understanding comes with responsibility, and responsibility will demand everything from you. Are you ready for that?" Elara met its glowing eyes without flinching. "I am ready." A faint hum rose in the jungle around them, as if the planet itself recognized the weight of the moment. The queen turned and began walking toward a path hidden by thick vines. Elara followed, scanning the surroundings, knowing instinctively that nothing would ever be the same again. The scar on her arm still tingled, a constant reminder that her life had been changed in ways she could not yet comprehend. As they disappeared into the dense jungle, the twin suns of Kryn 9 glinted through the canopy. Shadows danced across the forest floor, whispering of secrets, ancient powers, and the incredible journey that had just begun for one human among countless stars. The jungle grew denser as Elara followed the queen along the hidden path. The trees seemed to bend slightly away, as if making room for them. Strange flowers glowed faintly underfoot, illuminating a winding stone path that had long been swallowed by moss and vines. Every step Elara took was measured, careful. The queen walked silently, its long, flowing movements almost gliding across the ground. "Where are we going?" Elara asked after a few minutes, her voice echoing slightly through the thick greenery. The queen did not answer immediately. Instead, it paused beside a massive tree with bark like silver glass. The trunk was so wide that Elara could have walked into it and still not touched both sides. The queen placed a hand on the tree, and the bark rippled as if it were liquid. Slowly, a door-like opening formed, revealing a staircase spiraling downward into the roots of the tree. "This way," the queen said at last. "What you seek is not above ground. Knowledge is often hidden beneath the surface." Elara swallowed and stepped forward. Her boots made soft thuds on the smooth stone steps as they descended. The air grew cooler and more humid, carrying a faint scent of minerals and something she could not identify. Her scanner buzzed intermittently, picking up strange energy patterns that did not match anything in the human database. Finally, the stairs opened into a vast underground chamber. It was enormous, wider than a city street, with walls covered in strange alien glyphs that shimmered faintly in colors that seemed impossible to describe. Floating lights hovered in the air, illuminating massive machines that looked alive. Their surfaces pulsed with faint energy, and their shapes shifted subtly, like a liquid crystal frozen in motion. Alara's jaw dropped. She had seen alien technology before, but nothing like this. These machines did not seem mechanical in the human sense. They moved, reacted, and breathed as if the chamber itself were alive. The queen led her to the center of the chamber, where a large circular platform hovered slightly above the floor. "Sit," the queen commanded. Alara hesitated. "Sit." "Yes," the queen said simply. "You need to see." Reluctantly, she sat cross-legged on the platform. The moment she did, a soft hum rose from the chamber. The floating lights focused into a single beam that touched her scar. The tingle she had felt before returned, stronger now, and images flashed through her mind. She saw a human ship, lost in the vast emptiness of space, drifting near a strange blue star. She saw a small girl, no more than 10 years old, surrounded by alien devices. Her parents tried to protect her, but the ship's energy field malfunctioned. In a blinding flash, the child was marked, literally imprinted, with a strange alien pattern on her arm. Alara gasped. "That child was me." "You remember now," the queen said, its voice calm, echoing in her mind. "The scar you carry is not an injury. It is a mark of connection. You were touched by our species before you even knew it. That touch set you apart from others of your kind." Alara's mind raced. "Touched by your species? Why me?" The queen moved closer. Its presence was warm but powerful, like standing in the center of a quiet storm. "We did not choose randomly. Your survival, your uniqueness, was necessary. Humanity possesses traits no other species has: creativity, intuition, courage, and unpredictability. These traits are essential for what is to come." "What is coming?" Alara asked, her voice trembling slightly. "An enemy unlike any you have encountered," the queen said. "A species that consumes without understanding, that destroys what cannot be controlled. They travel across stars, leaving nothing but silence. They do not negotiate, they do not think beyond instinct, and they are approaching." Alara's hands tightened into fists. She had imagined dangers in space, pirates, storms, wild planets. But this was something beyond imagination. She wanted to run, to leave, but some part of her knew she could not. The queen's words stirred something inside her, a spark of courage she had never felt so strongly before. "Why me?" she asked again. "Why would you mark a human child? There are billions of humans." The queen's eyes glowed faintly. "Because humans, though small and fragile, can do what no other species can. You think, imagine, and act in ways that logic cannot predict. That is your power. The mark was a seed and it needed to grow. You have grown. Now the time has come for you to understand your role." Alara swallowed hard. "And if I refuse?" The queen's gaze held a mixture of patience and warning. "Refusal is a choice, but understand this, the threat will not wait, it will come regardless. Your kind must be ready. Even if you do not act, others will suffer. You carry knowledge that can save countless lives. To ignore it is to abandon a responsibility greater than yourself." Alara felt the weight of those words. Responsibility, knowledge, life and death across entire star systems. It was overwhelming. Her scar throbbed as if responding to the queen's words, reminding her that this was real, not a dream. "Teach me," she said finally. "I need to know everything. I need to be ready." The queen inclined its head. "Very well. First, understand this. Your species has always been underestimated. We observed humans long before your ships left Earth. You are small, unpredictable, and fragile, but you are also adaptive, resilient, and daring. These traits have allowed you to survive impossible odds. In our eyes, humans are extraordinary." Alara blinked, unsure how to respond. "Extraordinary?" "Yes," the queen said. "You survive where others fail, you innovate where others follow instinct, you challenge, question, and create. These qualities make humans the perfect candidates for what is to come. You will see it soon enough." The queen gestured to the floating machines around the chamber. "These are not merely tools. They are extensions of our knowledge, our memory, and our will. They will help you understand the universe in ways your species has never imagined. But beware, the same knowledge can overwhelm, confuse, or break a mind unprepared. That is why we began with the scar. It connects you to what you will learn, allowing your mind to bear what others cannot." Alara looked down at her arm, her fingers tracing the jagged scar line. It no longer felt like a simple wound. It felt alive, a part of her that had always been waiting for this moment. "Where do we start?" she asked. The queen's eyes glimmered. We start with history, not your history, but ours. Thousands of years ago, your species was not yet among the stars, but you were observed, studied, and tested in ways you do not remember. The mark on your arm is the result of one such test, a single event designed to prepare a being for the challenges of the future. It connected you to our knowledge, our memory, and our purpose. Ilara's mind struggled to comprehend. A test? Prepared for what? The test was to see if a human could survive contact with our species without losing individuality or courage. Most would not. Most would fear or flee. But you were chosen. Because you endured, because you survived, and because you grew into a human capable of thought, creativity, and action beyond instinct. Ilara exhaled slowly. The weight of her childhood memories, her dreams, her fears, and her scar pressed on her mind. Everything she thought was random, her curiosity, her survival, her strange dreams, was part of something much bigger. "You're saying I was always part of this?" she whispered. "Yes," the queen said, "and now you must decide how to act. Knowledge alone is not enough. Courage is needed. Will you stand or will you turn away? The choice is yours, but remember the galaxy will not wait for hesitation." Ilara looked around the chamber at the alien machines, the glowing glyphs, and the queen standing silently before her. Her heart pounded, her mind raced, and yet she felt something new, a sense of purpose, of belonging, of destiny. "I will stand," she said, finally, her voice steady. "I will learn, I will be ready." The queen inclined its head, a faint smile forming. "Good. Then let the lessons begin. You will learn to see patterns where others see chaos, to act when others hesitate, and to use your creativity as a weapon. Humanity's strength lies not in numbers or size, but in the spark of the mind. You carry that spark, Ilara Voss. And soon you will understand its true power." Ilara nodded. She did not fully understand yet, but a fire had been lit within her. She was no longer a simple explorer. She was connected to something ancient, vast, and powerful. The scar on her arm no longer hurt. It pulsed gently, as if approving her choice. As the chamber's lights pulsed softly and the alien glyphs shimmered, Ilara realized the truth. She was different, yes, but that difference was her strength. She was human, and that was enough to change the course of the galaxy. The queen extended its hand toward her once more. "Come, the lessons are not easy, but they are necessary. You will see, learn, and prepare. Time is short, and the universe waits for no one." Ilara took a deep breath, gripping the queen's hand as the chamber hummed around them. The adventure, the challenge, and the revelation had only just begun. She was ready. Ilara Voss woke to a soft glow filling the chamber. The air smelled faintly of metal and flowers, a strange but not unpleasant combination. The queen had left her to rest, though she knew sleep would not be easy. Her mind was alive with images from the previous day, the scar on her arm, the visions, the queen's words. Everything felt larger than life, and yet it was real. A gentle hum echoed through the underground chamber as she stepped onto the platform. Floating lights swirled above her, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The queen appeared silently, its presence calm but commanding. "Today the lessons begin," the queen said. Its voice, clear and deep, resonated in her mind. "You will learn not only to understand, but to act. Humanity's strength is not in force, but in creativity, intuition, and courage. You must see the world as it is, and as it can be." Ilara nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. She had always trusted her instincts, but she did not know if instincts alone could match what the queen was about to teach. "Follow me," the queen said, gliding toward a section of the chamber she had not seen before. Massive panels of alien material shifted to reveal a training space, vast and circular. The floor seemed to float above nothing, and the walls were covered in holographic projections of distant galaxies, ships, and strange alien symbols. "This is your training arena," the queen explained. "Here you will learn to think beyond instinct, beyond what is expected. Your species has survived against impossible odds because of one thing, unpredictability. You must embrace that and learn to use it as a weapon." Ilara stepped cautiously onto the floating platform. The air hummed against her skin and her scar tingled faintly. She felt connected to the chamber, to the queen, and to something larger than herself. The queen moved to a holographic display, and instantly a series of images and simulations appeared around them. Alien ships, mathematical patterns, complex machines, and strange landscapes rotated in midair. "This is not merely information," the queen said. "It is a test. You will be given problems no one has solved, situations no one has faced. You will fail and you will learn. Your human mind has a gift that our species cannot replicate. You will see that now." Alara studied the projections. The first task appeared, a simulated alien fleet moving through an asteroid field, navigating with perfect precision. The Queen gestured. "You must guide the fleet safely to the other side. No rules apply beyond logic, but think carefully, there is more than one solution." "Many will fail," Alara frowned. Her instinct screamed that the obvious path was not the correct one. The asteroids moved predictably, yet she noticed subtle patterns in their rotations and gaps that seemed almost designed. She tapped into her creativity, imagining the fleet moving not in straight lines, but weaving, splitting, and even pausing to allow a safe path. Her movements were hesitant at first, but gradually she found rhythm. The fleet responded to her commands in ways the Queen had not predicted. The simulation ended, the ship safe. The Queen's eyes glowed faintly. "You see," the Queen said, "your species does not follow pattern alone. You improvise, you adapt. That is why humans survive where others fail." Alara exhaled, a mixture of relief and pride swelling in her chest, but there was no time to linger. More challenges appeared. Alien machines with shifting shapes that required careful manipulation, holographic mazes that defied logic, and tactical simulations of enemy attacks that demanded both instinct and creativity. Each time the Queen observed silently, only offering guidance when she truly faltered. The chamber tested her body and mind, forcing her to think in ways she had never considered. Her human traits, curiosity, boldness, adaptability, shone in moments where rigid alien logic failed. She realized that what seemed like weakness to others was actually her greatest strength. Hours passed. Alara's muscles ached, her mind burned with information, yet she could not stop. Every challenge was a puzzle, every simulation a small battle. The scar on her arm pulsed with energy, a constant reminder that she was part of something larger, that her choices mattered. During a particularly difficult test, a simulation of a rogue alien species appeared. They moved with frightening speed and precision, attacking a fleet of ships in coordinated patterns. Alara's first instinct was to follow the predictable path and retreat, but then she remembered the Queen's words, "Unpredictability is your weapon." Instead of retreating, she ordered the fleet to split, sending small groups in unexpected directions. She created false targets and feints, leading the simulated enemy into traps of their own making. The holographic ships responded perfectly, moving unpredictably yet cohesively. The simulation ended successfully, and Alara felt a thrill unlike anything she had ever experienced. "You are learning," the Queen said, its voice calm but approving. "Observe carefully, humans are not the strongest nor the fastest. But you are capable of innovation where others rely on instinct alone. This is why your kind will be central to the coming struggle." Alara's mind raced. The more she trained, the more she understood that the upcoming threat could not be faced with strength alone. The enemy would be powerful, precise, and relentless, but they could not predict her or humanity. That unpredictability, that spark of imagination, was the key. As the chamber shifted to a new simulation, Alara noticed something she had not before. One of the holographic enemies paused, as if uncertain. It mirrored a pattern she had used instinctively. She realized that her human creativity was not only adaptive, but could create doubt in a species that relied purely on collective logic. Hours turned into what felt like days. Alara lost track of time, her body exhausted but her mind sharper than ever. The Queen introduced new exercises, problem-solving under pressure, negotiation simulations, and survival challenges in alien landscapes. Each test pushed her further, revealing strengths she had never recognized in herself. At one point, a simulation projected a massive alien fortress surrounded by energy fields. The objective was clear: infiltrate and disable the defenses. The Queen watched silently as Alara studied the projections. Instead of attacking head-on, she noticed subtle weaknesses: a shadow, a timing gap, a structural flaw. Using ingenuity rather than force, she guided a virtual squad through the defenses, bypassing traps and disabling the fortress without a single casualty. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter. "See how you think beyond the obvious? That is what sets humans apart. Others may follow orders perfectly, but they cannot imagine what is not given to them. You can. That is your gift." Alara smiled faintly, though she was exhausted. "I never realized being human could be a strength in ways I never imagined." she said softly. You are only beginning to understand, the queen replied. Your species has always been underestimated. You are small, fragile, and unremarkable to some. But within that smallness lies the spark that can ignite change across stars. Never forget that. A new challenge appeared, more complex than anything before. A simulation of multiple enemy fleets attacking a cluster of planets. Resources were limited, paths were uncertain, and every choice could mean disaster. Ilara's mind raced. She studied the formations, predicting movements and noticing patterns invisible to rigid logic. She issued commands that seemed reckless to any observer, splitting her forces, feinting, creating traps, and improvising solutions on the fly. By the end, all planets were saved. Ilara's body sagged with exhaustion, but her mind felt alive in a way it had never been. The scar on her arm pulsed warmly, as if approving her decisions. The queen observed her silently, then spoke. You have learned well today, yet this is only the beginning. Strength alone will not suffice in what is to come. Courage, ingenuity, and unpredictability, these are your weapons, and you have begun to master them. Ilara exhaled, looking around the chamber filled with glowing machines and floating lights. She felt both proud and humbled. She realized the truth. Humanity's strength was not in power, but in adaptability, creativity, and resilience. Where other species relied on logic and strength, humans could innovate, deceive, and surprise. That spark could turn impossible odds into victory. Am I ready for what's coming? She asked quietly, more to herself than the queen. The queen's eyes glimmered faintly. You are ready to continue learning, ready to face challenges no human has faced before, but ready alone is a word that has little meaning. True readiness comes from understanding, adaptation, and courage, and you have all three. Ilara nodded, feeling a fire of determination ignite within her. The queen had shown her not only her potential, but the potential of her entire species. She was small, yes, but within her lay a spark that could change the galaxy. As the chamber pulsed with light, and the holographic simulations shifted to new patterns, Ilara realized she was no longer just an explorer. She was a human capable of extraordinary things, ready to meet challenges that would test her mind, courage, and spirit. And she would not fail, not if she had anything to say about it. The scar on her arm pulsed once more, a gentle warmth reminding her that she was connected to something larger than herself. She was human, and that was her greatest strength. The hum of the chamber was gone. Instead, Ilara stood on a vast observation platform, high above the Queen's city, looking out into space. Hundreds of ships hovered, gleaming under the light of distant stars. The alien fleet they had been preparing for was approaching fast. Ilara's heart beat like a drum in her chest. The Queen's presence was beside her, calm but firm. This is the moment you have been preparing for, it said. The enemy is unlike anything you have seen. They are precise, relentless, and countless. Your mind, the human mind, will be our advantage. Ilara's hand instinctively brushed the scar on her arm. It tingled, a quiet reminder that she was not just a participant, but a key to what would happen. She had trained, planned, and learned for this moment. Still, seeing the enemy fleet in reality, stretching across the darkness like a river of metal and energy, was overwhelming. They will not negotiate, the Queen continued. They do not understand life outside their own. They will strike everything they cannot control. Your fleet is prepared, but their numbers are greater. You must act wisely and unpredictably. That is your gift. Ilara nodded, swallowing hard. She turned to the holographic display that hovered above the platform. It showed the enemy's movements in real time, ships swarming like a living organism, scanning for weakness, coordinating attacks with terrifying efficiency. Any conventional plan would fail, but conventional thinking was not human. The Queen stepped back, giving her space. You lead, it said simply. We will follow your command. Ilara's fingers trembled as she tapped controls, sending instructions to the alien fleet. At first, she ordered a direct approach, forming standard formations. The enemy moved faster than expected, countering every maneuver with precision. One by one, ships began to fall. Too predictable, she muttered, remembering the Queen's lessons. We need chaos, but controlled chaos. She issued a new command. Small groups of ships split off, moving in zigzag patterns, weaving in and out of asteroid fields. Some feigned retreat, drawing enemy ships into traps. Others moved in unexpected arcs, confusing the fleet's coordination. The enemy faltered, a momentary hesitation that Ilara seized immediately. Now, she shouted, issuing a new set of orders. Ships moved like dancers, striking at critical points in the enemy's formation, targeting weak spots she had identified in the simulations. It was working. The fleet's efficiency, perfect moments ago, was now disrupted. Confusion rippled through the enemy ranks, and Alara could feel the tide beginning to turn. The Queen's eyes glimmered. You see, human unpredictability. You create possibilities where others see only rules. That is why your species survives. Alara felt a surge of confidence. She remembered every lesson, every simulation, every strategy the Queen had taught her. She combined them in ways the aliens could not predict. Decoy fleets moved in one direction while the main fleet attacked another. Energy signatures were manipulated to appear larger than they were, tricking the enemy into overextending. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Ships exploded, lights flickered, and the hum of energy filled the observation platform. Yet through it all, Alara stayed focused. Her mind was sharp, her instincts honed, and her creativity flowing freely. The enemy regrouped, stronger and more coordinated than before. They had learned, adapted, but Alara was faster. She noticed a pattern in their approach. They relied on synchronized movement, reacting to predictable actions. Her solution was clear: she would make herself unpredictable. Alara divided her fleet into dozens of small groups, each acting independently but guided by subtle cues. Some ships feigned surrender, drawing enemy attention, while hidden units flanked them from angles the enemy had not calculated. Other groups used the environment, asteroids, gas clouds, and debris fields to mask their movements. The enemy hesitated. Their precision, their perfect coordination, faltered in the face of human unpredictability. Alara's pulse quickened. She was not fighting with strength alone, nor with numbers. She was fighting with creativity, intuition, and courage, the traits the Queen had said were humanity's greatest gift. A massive wave of enemy ships approached a vulnerable planet. Alara's fleet was spread thin, but she refused to panic. She studied the terrain, the movement of the ships, and the timing of their attack. Then, with a sudden decision, she ordered a daring maneuver. Her ships would split and create multiple false targets, confusing the enemy's sensors. The plan worked perfectly. Enemy ships crashed into one another or became disoriented, leaving the planet unharmed. Her fleet moved in coordinated arcs, striking decisively where the enemy was weakest. The Queen's eyes glowed brightly. You have done what few could. You see possibilities where others see limits. You create patterns from chaos. This is the power of humanity. Alara breathed heavily, her hands steady despite the adrenaline surging through her body. She was exhausted, but the battle was not over. The enemy adapted quickly, regaining some of its former precision. They sent a massive group toward the Queen's capital city, a wave of metal and energy that threatened to crush everything in its path. Alara's mind raced. She had one chance, one plan. She remembered the simulations in the chamber, the lessons on timing, misdirection, and exploiting weaknesses. She issued a new command. A portion of the fleet would engage the enemy directly, drawing their attention, while the rest would move stealthily, striking at the core of the attacking force. The plan was risky. Failure would mean disaster, yet Alara did not hesitate. She trusted her instincts, her creativity, and the lessons the Queen had taught her. The first phase worked flawlessly. The enemy, focused on the attacking ships, did not notice the smaller group slipping past shields and defenses. They struck critical points in the enemy formation, disrupting energy flows and navigation systems. Confusion spread like wildfire, and the once perfect fleet began to crumble. Alara's heart pounded. Every second counted. Her fleet moved with precision, yet unpredictably, creating a rhythm the enemy could not match. One by one, enemy ships fell, their energy cores disabled, their formations broken. Finally, the remaining enemy forces attempted to retreat. Alara anticipated this. She ordered a final maneuver, cutting off their path, forcing the remaining ships into a trap. With a brilliant sweep of strategy and timing, the enemy was defeated. Silence fell over the battlefield. The Queen approached Alara. Its massive form radiated approval and something softer, pride. You have done what many could not. You have saved countless lives, not with strength alone, but with the qualities that define your species: courage, ingenuity, and unpredictability. Alara exhaled, feeling the weight of the battle lift slightly. She looked out at the stars, the field of destroyed enemy ships, and the safe planets she had helped protect. She felt both exhaustion and exhilaration. She had never imagined herself in such a position, yet she had faced it and succeeded. The queen placed a hand on her shoulder. This is only the beginning. The universe will challenge you further. But today, you have proven that humans are not to be underestimated. Your spark can ignite change, even among the stars. Elara touched her scar, which pulsed faintly, a quiet reminder that she had been prepared for this moment her entire life. The scar was no longer just a mark. It was a symbol of purpose, resilience, and connection. She had been chosen, yes, but she had also earned her place. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice carrying both relief and determination. I understand now. I see what it means to be human in this vast universe." The queen's eyes glimmered. "Remember this lesson. Your species' greatest strength lies not in numbers or power, but in creativity, courage, and unpredictability. You will need these traits again, and the universe will test you more than it did today." Elara nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. She had faced fear, danger, and overwhelming odds, and emerged victorious. She had learned that being human was not a weakness, but a strength unmatched by any other species. As the alien fleet's remnants drifted silently into the void, Elara realized something profound. Humanity had always survived, not because it was the strongest or the fastest, but because it could think differently, adapt, and create solutions where others saw only problems. Today, that adaptability had saved countless lives. The queen stepped back, its form glowing softly. "Rest now. The lessons continue, but you have earned this moment. Reflect on it, remember it, and prepare for the future. You have shown the galaxy that humans are not mere observers, they are players, and they can change the game." Elara looked at the scar on her arm one last time, feeling its warmth and connection. She understood now that it was a mark of destiny, a reminder of what she was capable of. She was human, and in that she held the spark that could shape the stars. For the first time in her life, Elara felt truly ready. The battle was over. The void of space stretched endlessly before Elara as she stood on the observation platform, the twin suns of Kryn 9 casting long shadows across the city below. The alien fleet was gone, scattered or destroyed, leaving only silence and the quiet hum of the city's protective shields. Elara's scar tingled faintly, a gentle reminder of everything that had led to this moment. She had survived training, simulations, and the most dangerous battle she could imagine. But more than survival, she had learned something that went beyond strength, speed, or numbers. She had learned that being human, the unpredictability, courage, and creativity of her species, was a force unmatched by even the most precise alien logic. The queen appeared beside her, towering and calm, its presence as commanding as ever. "The universe has tested you, Elara Voss," it said, "and you have proven that your kind can face challenges beyond imagination. You have embraced the spark that defines humanity, and you have used it to save countless lives." Elara exhaled, her gaze still on the horizon. "It was overwhelming," she admitted. "I never imagined humans could make such a difference in the galaxy, but I see now. Our strength isn't just in our bodies or our technology, it's in how we think, how we adapt, and how we refuse to give up." The queen's eyes glimmered softly. "Yes, that is why we chose to mark you long ago. The scar you carry is not a symbol of injury, but of potential. You were prepared, in ways you did not understand, for this very moment." Elara ran a hand over the jagged line on her arm. Memories of her childhood, of the strange accident that had left the mark, of the visions she had seen in the queen's chamber, all of it converged into clarity. She understood that she had been part of a plan far larger than herself, yet she had earned her place through courage and creativity. "Now," the queen continued, "you must decide your next step. You may remain here, among our people, learning and leading in the preparation for the future. Or you may return to your species, carrying knowledge and experience that will shape humanity's place among the stars." Elara hesitated. She had grown close to this alien civilization, had learned things no human had ever known. But her home, her people, and the responsibility to share what she had learned called to her stronger than any comfort the queen could offer. I think I need to go back," she said finally. "Humans will face challenges of their own, they need to be ready, and I need to help them understand what is possible, what we are capable of." The queen studied her silently, then slowly it nodded. "Very well. Your choice honors both your kind and ours. But remember this, the universe will test humanity again in ways you cannot yet imagine. You now carry the spark, the knowledge, and the courage to guide them. Do not forget the lessons you have learned. Alara felt a quiet pride. She had not only survived the battle, but had proven the value of human ingenuity and courage to an advanced alien species. She had learned that humans were not small or weak, but uniquely capable of facing impossible odds. The Queen gestured toward a sleek silver ship waiting at the edge of the platform. Its design was unlike anything built on Earth, smooth, elegant, and responsive to thought commands. This vessel will carry you safely to your people. It is capable of traveling through regions of space that are otherwise impassable. Consider it a gift and a responsibility. Alara stepped onto the ship, feeling the subtle hum of energy beneath her feet. She looked back at the Queen, its form glowing softly under the twin suns. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady. "I will not forget what you have taught me, and I will make sure humans understand that our greatest strength is who we are, our mind, our courage, our unpredictability." The Queen inclined its head. "Go with wisdom and courage, Alara Voss. Humanity's future is brighter because of what you carry." The ship lifted off silently, gliding above the city before slipping into space. Alara settled into the pilot's seat, her hands moving confidently over the controls. The scar on her arm tingled once more, a reminder of the connection between herself, the Queen, and the lessons she had learned. As Kryn 9 disappeared behind her, Alara allowed herself a moment to reflect. She thought about the battle, the simulations, and the training chamber where she had first understood the value of human ingenuity. Every obstacle had tested her mind, her courage, and her creativity. And every time she had found a way forward, sometimes by thinking differently, sometimes by taking a risk, sometimes simply by refusing to give up. She realized that humans had always faced impossible odds. From the earliest explorers to the first pioneers among the stars, her species had survived and thrived not because they were strongest, but because they adapted, imagined, and dared to challenge the unknown. Alara's mind wandered to Earth, to the people she had left behind. They would never know the full extent of what had occurred here, but they would feel it in subtle ways. The discoveries they made, the decisions they took, the courage they showed when faced with the unknown. Humanity would continue to grow, learn, and rise among the stars, and Alara would carry the knowledge and inspiration to guide them. Hours passed as the ship traveled through deep space, weaving between stars and nebulae. The silence was comforting after the chaos of the battle, yet her mind was alive with possibilities. She imagined humans navigating the galaxy, not merely surviving but thriving. She imagined them meeting other species, not as victims, but as equals, as innovators, as creators of solutions no one else could see. Her thoughts returned to the scar. What had once seemed like a simple mark of misfortune was now a symbol of destiny. It reminded her of the moment she had been chosen, trained, and tested. It reminded her of the Queen's words, that humans were extraordinary because of their minds and their courage. And it reminded her that the universe was vast, full of challenges and waiting for humans to rise. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a small, uncharted planet. Its surface shimmered faintly, as if reflecting the stars. Curiosity stirred within her, a reminder that humans were explorers, always seeking the unknown. She adjusted the ship's course slightly, deciding to take a closer look. Even after everything, the spark of curiosity had not dimmed. It was part of her nature, part of what made her human. As she approached the planet, she realized something important. The universe was not simply a place to survive. It was a place to understand, to explore, to shape. And humanity, small and fragile though it might seem, had the power to leave a mark on every star, every planet, and every life they encountered. The Queen's words echoed in her mind again. Your species' greatest strength lies not in numbers or power, but in creativity, courage, and unpredictability. You carry that spark, Alara Voss, and soon you will understand its true power. Alara smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She had understood it now. Humanity's spark was not just a gift, it was a responsibility. They would face threats, obstacles, and unknown challenges. But with courage, imagination, and determination, they could shape the galaxy in ways no other species could. Hours passed, and the ship continued through the stars. Alara allowed herself to rest, leaning back in her seat, letting her mind drift over the lessons she had learned. She thought of the Queen, of Kryn 9, and of the fleet she had led. She thought of her scar, of the childhood accident that had seemed insignificant, and of the destiny it had marked. For the first time in her life, Alara felt a deep sense of peace. She had been tested, she had been trained, and she had faced impossible odds. She had emerged not only alive, but stronger, wiser, and ready to guide humanity into the stars. The ship entered a gentle orbit around the uncharted planet, its surface glowing softly. Alara gazed down, imagining the possibilities it held. Resources, knowledge, maybe even new life forms, opportunities to explore, learn, and grow. And she knew that humanity, armed with courage, creativity, and unpredictability, would be ready. Alara reached out and touched her scar once more. The warmth pulsed through her, a quiet, steady reminder that she carried the legacy of what she had learned. She was human, she was capable, and she had the spark to shape the future. The twin suns of Kryn 9 were far behind her now, replaced by new stars, new worlds, and new possibilities. She smiled. Humanity's journey was just beginning. And she would be there to guide it, to inspire it, and to remind her species of its greatest truth, that being human in a vast and unpredictable universe was the greatest power of all. Alara Voss took a deep breath, steadying herself. Ahead lay the infinite expanse of space, full of challenges and wonders, and she knew with certainty that humanity would rise to meet them. The ship moved forward, gliding silently among the stars, carrying one human and the spark of an entire species toward a future that was waiting to be written. Alara smiled once more, touching her scar. The universe was vast, humanity was small. But small things could change everything, and this human, marked by destiny and trained by the Queen, would make sure they did.